Have you ever looked back at things that used to keep you up at night and wondered, why did I worry so much? Maybe it was what people thought of you, or whether you measured up in a certain way. Things that once seemed so important that now barely earn a second thought. As the years go by, life has a gentle way of revealing which burdens are worth carrying and which can be set down for good. There's something profoundly liberating about getting older. And if you're lucky enough to make it into your 70s, you begin to see just how much lighter life can become when you let go of the things that no longer serve you. Today, I want to invite you on a little journey, a moment of reflection you can take as you sip your morning coffee, walk in the garden, or simply gaze out the window at the world you've helped shape. We're going to explore 8 things that simply don't matter the way they used to after you turn 70. And how releasing them can free you to enjoy a deeper peace, a clearer sense of purpose, and a more joyful presence with those you love. As you read, I encourage you to pause now and then, think about your own life, your own stories, and maybe even spot a few places where you're ready to set down some unnecessary weight. Who knows? One of these might just open up a new chapter in how you see both your past and your future. Let's start with status. For so many years, we're taught, often without realizing it, to chase after achievements and climb ladders. Maybe it was the promotions at work, the awards, the invitations to prestigious events, or the compliments when someone recognized your title or your role in the community. It can feel like the world is constantly measuring and tallying, and we do our best to keep up. But something wonderful happens as the years pass. You realize that none of those things truly define who you are. After 70, status and titles become little more than memories, footnotes in the greater story of your life. You don't need to impress anyone anymore. Harold, a neighbor of mine, used to run a big business and was known far and wide for his leadership. But ask him today what brings him joy, and he'll talk about his morning walks, the way the birds gather at his feeder, or the laughter he shares with his grandkids around the kitchen table. No one calls him CEO now. He's just Harold, and that's enough. The peace he's found isn't in some accomplishment, but in the relationships and simple pleasures that fill his days. The truth is, when you let go of chasing status, you reclaim your energy for what matters most: connection, kindness, love. Right behind status is the old habit of trying to please everyone. Do you remember how exhausting it was to constantly wonder whether you'd annoyed someone, or to twist yourself into knots just to avoid conflict? In our younger years, it can feel necessary to blend in, keep the peace, and make sure everyone is happy, even if it's at our own expense. But as you age, the urge to keep everyone satisfied fades. You begin to realize, deep in your bones, that not only is it impossible to please everyone, life is much too short to even try. Marlene, for example, spent decades playing the peacekeeper in her family. Every holiday, every birthday, she bore the brunt of everyone's expectations, showing up to every gathering whether she wanted to or not, always trying to smooth things over. But when her 70s came, something shifted. She started saying no sometimes. She stopped apologizing for needing space or rest. And you know what? The world didn't fall apart. The people who truly loved her, her sisters, her friends, remained, and the relationships grew even deeper for it. She felt lighter, as if she'd finally remembered how to breathe. The gift of getting older is permission to finally put your peace first and to let other people's opinions, which change like the wind, drift by without weighing you down. Now let's talk about something that, for many of us, once felt like the ultimate measure of value: outward appearance. In our 20s and 30s, and let's be honest, for many years after that, we worried about wrinkles and gray hairs, and maybe even tried every cream or dye on the drugstore shelves. We judged ourselves, and sometimes others, based on how we looked on the outside. But life and the passage of time grant a kind of wisdom that no mirror ever can. After 70, you realize that beauty is not in the absence of lines, but in the presence of laughter, kindness, and the stories that your face and hands tell. Evelyn, a dear friend, used to fret constantly about her appearance. For decades, she never let her natural hair show, and she worried every time she noticed a new spot or wrinkle. But as she entered her 80s, she let her silver hair shine. She started wearing clothes that made her feel vibrant, not just age-appropriate. Strangers began to compliment her glow, not her youthfulness, but the joy and confidence that radiated from her. Presence, not perfection, became her beauty secret. After 70, you discover that those who love you don't care about crow's feet or laugh lines. They love the way your eyes light up, the sound of your voice, the comfort of your embrace. And gradually, you love yourself more, too. Money is another area where life's priorities shift in the most profound way. When we're younger, it feels like life is a constant treadmill of earning, saving, and investing, always striving for enough, whatever that means. We worry about retirement, security, the size of our nest egg, and what we'll leave our kids. But somewhere along the way, after a certain age, you recognize that while some financial comfort is essential, the endless accumulation of more no longer offers the same satisfaction. Gerald worked hard all his life, pinched pennies, and denied himself for decades, always worried about the future. But after 70, he began to relax. He still managed his checkbook, but now he spent more on experiences, travel, and small pleasures. A trip to see the fall colors, a gift for his granddaughter, a donation to a cause close to his heart. He learned that the real return on investment wasn't in dollars, but memories and moments. It's a wisdom that, if we're lucky, we all find. You can't take the money with you. What matters most is not what you leave in the bank, but what you leave in the hearts of those you love. Old grudges are a heavy burden, maybe the heaviest of all. When we're hurt, especially by those closest to us, it's easy to carry that pain for years or even decades, as if holding on will somehow protect us or make things right. But after 70, you begin to see that holding on to anger only robs you of peace in the days you have left. Doris, who hadn't spoken to her sister in 30 years over a long-ago argument, found herself facing a health scare. Suddenly, the details of who was right or wrong just didn't seem important anymore. One chilly afternoon, she picked up the phone and dialed her sister's number. The conversation was awkward at first, but as the minutes passed, the weight began to lift from both their shoulders. There were tears, stories, laughter, and even a little regret for all the years lost. In the end, they found something far more precious than vindication: peace. Doris spent the last few years of her life rekindling a relationship she'd almost written off, proving that forgiveness isn't about excusing what happened. It's about giving yourself the freedom to move forward unburdened. Next comes the urge to control everything. In youth, we're taught to plan, to organize, to anticipate and manage every detail, from our careers to our families, our health, our homes, and even the way others behave. We hold tight, believing that with enough willpower, we can keep life on track. But the years have a way of teaching us humility. The unexpected health diagnosis, the sudden loss of a friend, a surprise, good or bad, from one of our children or grandchildren. All these remind us that life will always be unpredictable. Frank, for instance, used to micromanage every gathering, every aspect of his finances, even his garden. After his wife passed away unexpectedly, he learned that it's okay to let go. Instead of trying to dictate every outcome, he started to find joy in simply being present, in watching the flowers grow, in letting his grandchildren make a mess in the kitchen, in trusting that even though he couldn't control everything, he could still find meaning and peace in each moment. The softening that comes with age is not a surrender to chaos, but an acceptance of life's natural ebb and flow. It frees up space in your heart for gratitude and grace. Remember how we all used to worry about keeping up with every new trend? Whether it was the latest fashion, the newest gadget, or knowing exactly what was happening on television or in politics, there always seemed to be some pressure to stay current, to remain in the loop. But after 70, the noise of the world begins to fade. Suddenly, trends don't exert that same pull. Instead, you find yourself gravitating towards what feels authentic: your favorite old sweater, the music you loved when you were young, books you've read a dozen times. Walter, who's well into his 80s, still plays records on his turntable and wears boots he bought 30 years ago. His grandkids used to tease him, but eventually, they started asking him about the stories behind his clothes and records. To their delight, they learned that being authentic never goes out of style. In fact, it's your quirks and preferences, the things uniquely you, that draw people in and forge the deepest bonds. Life after 70 becomes less about catching up and more about slowing down, appreciating the classics, and savoring what's timeless. And then there's the myth of perpetual busyness. In our working years, being busy is a badge of honor. There's a satisfaction in having a calendar full of appointments, a to-do list that never ends, and the sense that you're always needed somewhere. But approaching your 70s and beyond brings a stunning revelation. Busyness and productivity are not the same as fulfillment. Linda, now 77, once felt restless and even guilty if she wasn't constantly doing something, running errands, volunteering, checking off lists. These days, she intentionally makes space for slow mornings, afternoon naps, and long, meandering phone calls with her college roommate. She never apologizes for taking her time. In letting go of the need to be busy, she's found greater delight in just being alive, and in connecting with others in a way that's unhurried, attentive, and real. The rush of younger years is replaced by the wisdom found in stillness and slowness. So, as you reflect on these shifts, you might notice a pattern. After 70, life becomes less about proving yourself and more about being yourself. You stop measuring your worth by titles, others' approval, your reflection in the mirror, the length of your to-do list, or the size of your bank account. Instead, fulfillment comes from the richness of your relationships, the depth of your experiences, and your willingness to embrace the present and let go of what no longer serves you. Let's pause here. Which of these things, status, the need to please, appearance, money, grudges, control, trends, or busyness, are you most ready to loosen your grip on? Maybe there's a lingering resentment you can set down. Maybe you're ready to stop worrying about what people think or to spend less time feeling guilty for resting. What might happen if you traded those old burdens for peace, a sense of freedom, or a simple afternoon spent just how you like? Perhaps you've spent a lifetime achieving, giving, supporting, and proving yourself. The wisdom of age whispers that you've already earned your place, and that now, the most meaningful thing you can do is be present, laugh freely, love fully, and enjoy the richness of simply being alive in this moment. Imagine the quiet courage it takes to do just that, to say, I am enough, just as I am, right here and right now. No title, accomplishment, trend, or bank statement could possibly add to the worth you already carry. You might discover that as you let go, you open doors to deeper connections. Your stories, your laughter, your very presence become gifts to your family, friends, and neighbors. You become the living reminder that it's not about chasing what's fleeting, but cherishing what endures: kindness, wisdom, and love. If there's one thing life has taught us, it's that time is precious, and the simple moments, waves on the lake, birds at the feeder, the squeeze of a grandchild's hand, become the treasures we carry with us. And just as important as letting go is sharing what matters. If any of this resonates, if you find yourself nodding along, or if you remember someone you know who'd benefit from hearing these gentle reminders, reach out. Share a story, send a letter, or invite someone over for coffee. The community we build in our later years may not look the same as when we were younger, but it is every bit as vital. In fact, it's often stronger, for it rests on honesty, acceptance, and a shared understanding that we don't need to pretend or perform anymore. Maybe after reading this, you'll take a moment to walk outside, breathe in the fresh air, and ask yourself, what am I ready to lay down? You might discover that the lightness you feel isn't just emotional, it's physical, too. Shoulders relax, breaths deepen, and the world seems a little brighter. This is the freedom that comes with age, a freedom that is earned, cherished, and absolutely yours. As you move through your days, remember, you are not defined by the busyness of your schedule, the opinions of others, your appearance, or any tally of success. You are defined by your kindness, your laughter, your resilience, and the wisdom you've gathered over a lifetime of joys and hardships. Every wrinkle, every gray hair, every story, and every scar is a testament to the life you've lived and the love you've given. You don't have to prove anything to anyone anymore. You've already done more than enough, simply by being here, by weathering storms, by showing up for those you love, and by making a difference in ways big and small. At 70 and beyond, you realize that the truest measure of a life well lived isn't written on a resume or measured in possessions. It's found in the gentle moments, when you sit quietly with a lifelong friend, when you comfort someone with just your presence, when you find yourself smiling at a sunrise or letting your heart swell with gratitude for all you still have. It's found in laughter shared around a table, in the wisdom offered to a grandchild, and in the sudden clarity that comes when you realize that you're finally, truly at peace with who you are. These years offer a precious invitation to focus on the things that light you up and to release the weights that have held you back. That means embracing imperfection and making space for rest. It means allowing yourself to say no to what drains you and yes to what brings you joy, even if others don't understand. It means forgiving where you can, loving without condition, and letting yourself be loved in return. If you're reading this and feel even a hint of recognition or relief, know that you are far from alone. So many people reach this chapter and wish they'd had permission to let go earlier. But the beautiful thing is, it's never too late. Every day is a fresh chance to choose ease over struggle, connection over competition, and authenticity over expectation. Think about it. If you could talk to your younger self, what would you say? Would you tell them that it's okay to take a break? To focus less on fitting in and more on standing out, in all the best ways? Would you tell them that the people who truly matter will stick around, not because you kept them happy at your own expense, but because you finally let yourself be known, flaws and all? The world has changed so much from when you first set out. Technology moves faster, trends come and go in the blink of an eye, and the pressure to keep up can feel overwhelming if you let it. But after 70, you get to decide which voices to listen to and which to tune out. You discover that you don't have to know the latest app, drive the newest car, or follow every news headline to matter. What matters is the legacy of kindness, resilience, and honesty you leave behind. So the next time you catch yourself worrying about keeping up or regretting what you haven't done, pause and breathe. Give yourself credit for the decades of living you've already packed in, each one an adventure with its own lessons and gifts. Remember, no one else could have lived your life, loved your people, or walked in your shoes. That uniqueness is your greatest treasure. And as busyness gives way to stillness, you might find that your relationships grow deeper, your perspective widens, and gratitude comes more easily. Maybe you'll relish slow mornings, savor the company of old friends, or delight in learning something new at any age. Maybe you'll pick up a forgotten hobby, write down your stories for the next generation, or simply sit in the sun and let yourself be. If there's a secret to happiness in our later years, it's this. Don't be afraid to slow down and truly savor the moment. There's no need to rush, and no virtue in pushing yourself to exhaustion. Your worth was never tied to productivity. Your value is found in the warmth you share, the stories you tell, and the wisdom you pass on, often in the quietest, simplest ways. So as you move forward, Celebrate your freedom to choose how you spend your time, whom you share it with, and what you hold dear. Let the expectations of others fall away, and trust that being true to yourself is the greatest gift you can offer the world and yourself. If there are dreams you've set aside, dust them off. If there are words you've held back, speak them. If there are burdens you still carry, set them down. Above all, cherish your role as a living example, not of perfection, but of what it means to live fully, love deeply, and let go gracefully. Your laughter, your compassion, your quiet presence, they are more needed than ever in a world that often seems in a hurry to forget what really lasts. Whether you're passing along a family recipe, rocking a baby to sleep, volunteering in your community, or simply smiling at a stranger in the grocery store, your example lingers long after the moment has passed. If this message rings true for you, I'd love to hear about it. Share a story, a lesson learned, or something you're ready to let go of. We grow stronger and lighter when we remind each other that it's not only okay to lay down the things that no longer matter, but that it's the very heart of living well as we age. And if you're thinking of a friend or loved one who could use this encouragement, don't hesitate to reach out. After all, a burden shared is a burden halved, and a joy shared is a joy doubled. You've earned your place in this world, and you've earned the right to peace. A peace that comes not from seeking approval or racking up accomplishments, but from embracing the simple, beautiful truth of who you are. You are loved, you are enough, and these years can be your richest yet, not in what you accumulate, but in what you give, remember, and let go. Thank you for spending this time reflecting, for being willing to consider a new way of moving through the world, and for all the ways you make life brighter for those around you. Whatever comes next, may it be filled with laughter, meaning, connection, and that wonderful, hard-earned sense of ease that only comes with letting go of what truly doesn't matter anymore.